Hi everyone. Today we're doing a level 2 mini ball add-on. So if you enjoyed the HIT series that we just did, you're all warmed up and ready to go, but just looking for a little bit of extra movement or just on its own. The mini ball, as you guys know, is probably my favorite small prop, so versatile. If you don't have it though at home, you don't need to be scared off of the video. It is always optional, except for one move where we'll put it behind the back. And I should say, even there, it's optional. You would just be doing a regular curl up rather than being able to lean over the ball and curl up from there. So you can do it without if you need to. We're going to start with the mini ball between our knees or between the upper thighs, just above the knees, and coming down onto our back. So the size of your mini ball will guide how far apart your feet are at this point. And I just want you to relax your toes as we always do and get a little bit of groundedness through the feet. That neutral pelvis. The spine belted to the mat. And when you're starting here, we're just going to be breathing. And on your exhale, squeezing in on the ball and feeling that connection of inner thighs, pelvic floor lift, deep belly drawing in, out breath. It's a little, that's where your intention is today. So exhaling to feel that connection and inhaling to relax everything and to ease off on the ball, just shy of having the ball drop from between your knees. Try to be aware of where you're filling your breath. So try to get that breath going to the low rib cage, even visualizing that breath is going behind your low back, into that space between low back and the mat. And as you do your squeeze in on the ball, I want you to really feel, as you squeeze in on the ball, you get that reactive pelvic floor lift, and you feel the strength, begin low near the pubic bone and travel upwards. Beautiful. Good. And then we're going to start to lift the pelvis. So this is a neutral lift. So you don't lose your space behind waist and mat. You squeeze in on the ball, squeeze the bum, and lift in that neutral spine to be in a familiar bridge position. But it's not our peel up, peel down. You're going to drop the bum as you breathe in. And I just want you to let the back of the pelvis sort of kiss the mat, not a full relaxation, but just let it touch and right back up. So same thing on your exhale, you're squeezing in on the ball and picturing that pelvic floor, deep belly out breath connection, but now you've also included the bum, the glutes. Watch the low ribs. They're still, even though you're in neutral, they're not thrusting upward. I mean, they're raising off the mat a bit, but they're not leading the way. The difference between our peel up, our hip rolls, and this is that you don't connect that space behind your low back with the mat. It's back of the pelvis and lift, back of the pelvis and lift, back of the pelvis and lift, and hold this one here. Take a nice breath in, and you're going to pulse quickly in on the ball, and each time you're going to include your pelvic floor lift and your deep belly reaction. So beautiful. Hold it on the ball, and keeping the toes uncurled, I want you to lift both heels and place them back down. Lift both heels, place them back down. You'll notice the pelvis doesn't move. As you go to place the heels back down, I want you to squeeze the bum to keep that pelvis up in the air. And make that one the last one. Heels down, peel down this time. So let gravity help you. Put one bone of the back down on the mat at a time. And we're going to peel back up. So you're in neutral, exhaling to gently roll through imprint to lift the tailbone, back of the pelvis. And try to feel at the top that ball, the knees are reaching out beyond the toes. Peel back down. Peel it up. Peel it down. Feeling any inner thigh activity? That's good, eh? Peel it up and hold it up this time. And I want you to imagine that your chest stays still, like your heart stays still, and your ball stays still. And this is a tip of the pelvis at the waist and through the pelvis and hips. So I'm going to keep left hip high at first and drop the right. And doesn't that feel good? Pick it back up and then drop the right hip, or sorry, the left hip, and pick it back up. So right hip drops, pick it back up. Left hip drops, pick it back up. And if you want to take a glance at the ball and make sure it's staying still, because this isn't a sway of the knees side to side. This is rotation and center. Rotation and center. Rotation, center. Rotation, center. Pause here. Take a nice breath in. Squeeze in on the ball and straighten the left leg. Hold it there. Pulse in on the ball for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Release. Make sure that pelvis is level and still high. And straighten the right leg. Pulse in on the ball for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Release. Without the ball, you can have the knees together, of course. And squeeze in for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Release. And last one. Straightening the right leg. And squeeze in for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Release the leg. Take a nice breath in and lift those hips a little bit higher before you peel it down. One bone of the back at a time. Beautiful. Good. Let's take the mini ball and put it under the pelvis. If you don't have the ball, and mine is actually inflated quite a bit. It's going to be high. That's okay. If you don't have the ball, you have the pelvis in neutral on the mat, and you make sure you feel the root of the sacrum, the back of the pelvis, stay connected to the mat, nice and steady. So bring the feet together, knees together, and just bend the elbows to have the palms facing in, or even more challenge to raise them up towards the ceiling. Breath in to prepare, bringing the right leg up to tabletop, release it down, and switch sides. And I just want you to do 2 or 3 where you're really feeling that you anticipate the movement, you stay still in the spine, you use your breath, and that the rest of the body is relaxed. So the head and the neck don't need to be tense here. The shoulders certainly don't need to be. You're not pushing into the elbows. Good. Hold the right up and bring the left leg up to meet it. Good. And from here, I want you to tap the toes, one at a time, right and left. And if you're feeling good, you can start to switch in motion right away, or be more methodical. One at a time, complete the movement, switch. Whatever feels good. Focus on eliminating those little movements, though, from the ball, right? And as you're level 2, I want you to keep the thigh from coming too close. The leg that's coming up is not coming way up here. I can almost relax there. You're keeping it so that the abdominals are always a little bit. 2, 1, 1. Beautiful. Pause here. You've got the knees together, feet together. The feet are going to stay together. The knees are going to get wide and come in. Wide and come in. So you're in your little diamond and then squeeze back together. Diamond and back together. It's a natural pelvic floor exercise, so as the knees get wide, you can think of more activity in the pelvic floor at that moment, or you can just let it happen. But staying still on the ball. Perfect. Hold your diamond nice and wide here, and keep the tailbone down on the ball. Keep that pelvis nice and still, and you're going to straighten legs to come out in this nice wide V, and then tap the toes together back into your diamond. So the thighs stay pretty still here. your V and bring it together. And bring it together. And try to time it. Don't have the ball, then on the mat and going through the same motion. Good. And let's hold wide, and you're going to lift an inch and lower. Lift an inch and lower. Try to feel that inner thigh connection with the pelvic floor in your deep center. You're still in neutral with the pelvis. If you're really tight in the hamstrings, you might even have the knees a little bit soft, a little bit bent. And now we're going to make the movement bigger. So we're going to come up and let the left leg cross right a little bit and open back up and switch. Right leg in front of the left. So you've squeezed the legs right together and open. And open. And open. How's that mini ball? Sit still? Or those are yes. Let's do one more. Left in front. Right in front. Bring the flex the feet and feel that length in the whole back of the body. And then allow them to bend and just relax. We're going to lower the legs and come off your ball. At least for that part. We're going to take the ball and we're going to put it behind your upper back. And this is the one I mentioned that if you don't have it, it is quite a different exercise, but you can just do your little curl up like your ab prep. And you're going to find a place for that ball, depending on its size and your anatomy. You're sort of comfortable. So mine's just a little bit below my shoulder blades, and I can still be in my neutral low back pelvis, and immediately you'll probably feel necky and want to support the head with the hands. If you know that this bothers you, do it without the ball, because some people find that it does give their mid-back a little bit of issue. If you already have quite a flat or extended mid-back, that could be the case, or some rib issues. But if you're happy, you're here. Take a nice breath in and melt over the ball. Keep the head nice and supported in the hands, and exhale to come up. The low back pelvis doesn't move, so wherever you feel the weight on the back of the pelvis, as you meld back, it stays the same, and as you engage the core and curl up, it stays the same, so no shift there. We're going to add in legs to tabletop, so as you curl up, you're going to bring the legs to tabletop, and then release everything down. Melt back over the ball. Exhaling to come up. Legs to tabletop. Lower. Melt over the ball. And I like this one a little bit slow and methodical. So I curl up before I get the legs moving, just so I can be sure that that pelvis is staying still. And that I have the abdominals staying flat and keeping that spine nice and stabilized. Perfect. And make this one your last one. Perfect. And you're going to stay curled up, but you're going to put the legs down. And we're going to bring the right leg, or let's do the left leg, up to tabletop. And we're going to straighten the leg. Right? And then we're going to lower the leg and lower the upper body. So leg lowers what you can control. Up, body melts over the ball. Exhale to come up. This one you really have to think about keeping the tailbone down, because it's very easy to let that whole low back round toward the mat and then, oh, look how close my leg's coming. But if I really control the pelvis, then the leg can't come that high, and I work a lot more in the abdominals. Good. We're going to start to add a little rotation. So you come up with the leg, and then you're going to rotate to face that leg. So rotate to the left, unwind, release back. Rotate, unwind, release back. curl up, rotate, unwind, release. Let's do 3 more. On the left. Rotation. Hold the, you're rotated, you're rotated, you're rotated. Is that pelvis still? Yes. And unwind. Release that leg, and we'll switch. So leg to tabletop. And straighten and keep that spine in neutral. And then just, not the rotation right now. Coming up. Down. And come up. Down. And come up. Down. And come up. And then on the next one, we'll start to add the rotation. Rotate. Unwind. Release. Rotate. Unwind. Release. Rotate. Unwind. Release. The pelvis stays still through that. Feel some obliques here? Isn't that good? Good, and make that one your last one, or this one coming up. Hold it, hold it, hold it. You're rotated, you're rotated, you're rotated. You're pulling the leg up towards you, but you're keeping the spine in neutral. And then you're gonna unwind, release that leg. Straighten out the legs. And if it feels good, you can melt over the ball and just get that length in the abdominals where you just worked. And if it doesn't feel good to be over the ball like this, then you can just lay flat on the back and reach the arms overhead or out to the sides more in a V, or even get the position. Really, really opens across the chest. It's a very nice stretch. Good. And then because I say it's always impossible to get off the ball gracefully, but except with a roll up, arms overhead, inhale to push them further ahead of you, to nod the chin, and then to use the abdominals to come up. Nice reach over and a restacking. Good. We're going to come down onto our side on the ball. And this ball just gives you feedback about how still you're staying as you do your side leg work. So find a place under the rib cage where you're happy to have that ball and be comfortable in the shoulder. And the other arm, it shouldn't be on the mat because the ball's really giving you the feedback. So have it at least on the top hip, or I like it behind the head because then you're really maybe bringing awareness to your rib cage control. You shouldn't see your feet because they're in line with the rest of the spine. The pelvis is stacked. You're ready to go. So on your breath in, raise the leg, exhale, flex and lower. Point and raise, and flex it down. And how's that little ball doing? Nice and still, right? No movement here. Point and raise, flex it down. Point and raise, flex it down. Still thinking of the length in that upper side body so that it's just like when you're laying down on the mat, only you've got the ball for feedback here. So hold this leg up and we're going to circle. And we're going to circle. And how's that ball? Your circle might be smaller than you're used to. And you're going to try to make each tracing a little bit bigger, a little bit. Good. And then reverse it. Let's do 4 the other way. The more still you can stay in the pelvis and control through the ribs, the solar plexus area, the easier it'll be on that ball. So really try to bring your attention to keeping the pubic bone tucked forward as the leg goes behind you, and staying strong in the side body as the leg comes down in front. Make that one the last one there. Good. And flex and lower. Good. We're going to take the ball before we move to the other side and just put it between the ankles. Lower down so that bottom arm is your pillow. Have your space between waist and mat. Fingertips can be on the mat if you want, or go for that balance challenge of having it on your top hip. Flex the feet for this one. Take a nice breath in, squeeze the ankles together, and then float both feet. So side lift and lower. side lift, and lower. Once again, if you don't have the ball, then you just have the feet together and do your regular side lift, keeping the heels and the calves and the thighs pressed together. Pelvis stays still, and that's hard. Often we want to collapse in the waist and lose that space. But what you'd like this to be is outer thigh of the top leg, inner thigh of the bottom leg, and relative stillness through the pelvis and low ribs. Hold this one up. Take a nice breath in and squeeze in on the ball for 8, for 7, for 6, for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Lower with control, and we'll do the other side. Oops. Don't know where I was going with that. Ball under the rib cage. Legs nice and stacked. Pelvis nice and stacked. Top arm, if you can, is behind the head, behind the ear. Good. This is the wobbly side. Point and raise. Flex it down. It's funny how we have those asymmetries, eh? One side is always just a little bit more free, a little more natural, a little easier. So Pilates helps to even out the asymmetries, but good. Point and raise. Flex it down. We'll do 2 more. With that awareness in the low rib cage. And are you relaxed in the head and neck? Right? We shouldn't be tight in the jaw, tight in the throat. Let's do our circles here. Circle. And try to make the tracing on the second one a little bigger than the first. A little bit bigger on the third one. And even bigger on the fourth. Oh, good. And then reverse. 4. Good. 3. 2. And last one like this. Try to go for a nice smooth circle. Big tracing, good. And relax it down. Good. Take the ball. Place it between the ankles. Straighten back out so that you're in that nice, long, even spine. Bottom arm is your pillow. Top arm on the top hip, if you can. If you don't need it for balance, flex the feet. Breath in to prepare. Squeeze in on the ball. And float both feet. And release it down with control. Exhale to lift. And inhale to lower. Exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. And try to keep that thought of having some space between waist and mat. So that if someone could see you like sort of hip pointers up, they wouldn't really see any movement. Yeah. Think of length out of the bottom of your heels. Let's hold this one up. And we're going to squeeze in on the ball for 8, for 7, for 6, for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Lower with control. Awesome. And coming to hands and knees, ball between the knees, just for a little connection there. We're just going to end with a nice cat stretch. So nice breath in to prepare neutral spine, and as you breathe out, we're going to do the low back first. So a wave of motion from the tailbone, low back, mid back, right up through the top of the head. You can press into the feet, hover the knees, squeeze in on the ball for a little more intensity there. Release and unwind right back to nice and neutral. Again, beginning with the pelvis. And we'll do that again. Exhale to round the spine. Add the hover with the knees if that feels good. Release, unwind, and last one. Try to feel a little more arch on this last one. Keep the shoulders away from the ears. Pick up the knees if you wish. And release. And rock back to that lovely shell stretch child's pose, just to lengthen in the spine and bring the hands around by the feet. Just for a couple breaths in that position. And then roll up. You can take the ball out and just come spend a little moment observing how you feel, observing the body. Hopefully happy. Awesome. Thank you for joining. Hope you enjoyed the mini ball work. I always love it. And I'll see you next time.